Hey my friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're looking at the 2017 Cadillac XT5, an all-new midsize crossover luxury SUV that competes against the Lexus RX 350, the Acura MDX, and the Lincoln MKX, just to name a few. So let's see how it stacks up. Before we get out for a test drive on the matter of styling, I wanted to cover a couple of things because the styling on this is completely new from the ground up. It's got Cadillac's latest design when it comes to the facial features, as well as the creases and the lines that you see going down the side. First thing I want to point out here, this is a luxury premium model, which means it has 20-inch wheels on it. 18s are standard on the base model. When you get up to the mid and the top trim grades, you get 20-inch wheels. This one here has LED headlights here too. Very artfully sculpted, as you can see, and they actually turn with you at night, and they've got some really nice LED light ups there that have a nice vertical look when you're going down the road. Very similar to, I think personally, sort of that signature that the Eldorado used to have in the 70s, and well, that might not be what they're looking for. It definitely says Cadillac, I think, and I do like it quite a bit. The grille, very well put together, I think. There's a lot going on here, and this has sort of a satin chrome here as well as everywhere else on the vehicle. As we come down the side and around the rear, one thing I do want to sort of talk about is all the black plastic cladding that's here. Not a bad thing. Some people like it. Personally though, when I look at $50,000, $60,000, I start thinking, you know, maybe body color or a contrasting paint color. The black plastic just seems sort of down in the base grades to me, but that's just personal opinion. Now, when you look at the styling back here, I like some of the elements. I love these taillights. They sort of have this wrap over effect that, well, it sort of plays to that fin thing that Cadillac's known for. Now, maybe I'm just the one seeing that, but I do like that very much. Up here, you've got a built-in spoiler with a big brake light that goes across the back, LED, just like those taillights. And down low here in the lower fascia, you've got big dual exhaust tips, which I think is important with a luxury vehicle. You really want to play up that premium effect and the performance effect, which this V6 does offer. The interior of the XT5 is really one of the best places to be and really soak in what this vehicle's about. I like the new design. It's definitely fresh. It doesn't look like virtually anything you're going to find in the class, and the material quality in here is very impressive. Now this one here, I've got a two-tone light tan. I've got a black dash, a lot of soft touch stitching. It's virtually everywhere on the dash panel, on the door panels, here on the console. Down here on the console cup holder cover as well, they've really added a lot of that stuff around here to give you that handcrafted feel. Now the seating position here is the other thing I'm pretty impressed with. These seats are very firm, sort of a European feel, but they're very comfortable. There's a lot of adjustment range going on, and you do have memory here for the driver, a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel in this one, and it really does give you a nice car-like feel in here. You're sitting up high like you're in an SUV, but you feel like you're sitting down in this one. Very car-like. I like that. Storage in here is also very good. We've got a big, huge area down here. I've got 2 water bottles and a few other things in there. There's a place right here for your phone if you just like to lay it where it's easy to get to. Also down below, there's another storage area there where you could actually put a purse or something larger. Now this also has a wireless phone charger, and there's a slot right here in the console that you can slide a phone in. Now mine won't go all the way in there because I've got a big case on it, but you can actually slide your phone all the way down in there, get some wireless charging if it's compatible. So that's pretty cool. Lots of USB ports, a lot of power ports. So there's a lot of connectivity going on here when it comes to being able to charge your phone or other devices that you might have. The rear seat space back here is actually pretty comfortable, and I was surprised about that because at first blush it looked like the seat cushion here was a little bit on the low side. One of my pet peeves. What I found out is it's actually pretty high and it gives very good support. There's actually bolstering here, and it's pretty comfortable to sit in. They're pretty soft. Now there's some adjustments. They do slide fore and aft, and the seat backs do recline, but I'm not going to demonstrate that because it's very hard to do when you're sitting here in the seat. It's something you want to do before you get in. Now also, you've got a full down armrest here, cup holders in it. Center console here has vents, always a good thing, and there's USB ports down there so you can plug and play. Now, if you do get the climate package, you'll upgrade, you'll get heated seats back here as well as adjustments so you can have climate control back here. You can control your own zone. Legroom, as you can see, very good. Headroom, very good, even with the panoramic roof, which usually takes a lot of room out of there. It's pretty good. I like that. Back there, really nice load deck back there. It's got aluminum rails built into it that you can put a number of accessories. This one has the cargo divider there, but there's other ones you can get that just plug right into that. Very cool thing. These seats, they fold down in a 60-40 split like virtually all of them do in this class, but they do it very easily. There's levers at the back. You can pull those levers and they go down automatically. And you can also do that here at the second row doors if you happen to be here. But the big thing is that you don't have to take the headrest off. They just go right down and they're just very easy to put down. The best part is in any SUV is the fact that this has a temporary spare tire, not a can of fix-a-flat and sealant. Big deal if you happen to be going out in the wild and you actually cut a tire open. Can of fix-a-flat's not going to help you. Overall, I'm very impressed with this interior, as you can tell. I like the materials, I like the design. It's very comfortable, both front and rear, and that's not something you can say for a lot of the competition. Therefore, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. When it comes to the infotainment system, this has the Cadillac Q system. This is a second generation. It's, I'm told, very much improved over the previous generation when it comes to how well the graphics work, how well it reacts to your touch. And I have to hand it that that's much improved. It's much faster. The old system, you touch it and it would have a delay to it. But what we have here still is a capacitive touch where if you have to stroke it to get your volume up and down. Kind of weird when you're driving down the road, I think. I much prefer a knob or even push buttons, but they don't have that here. Now, there are push buttons here on the steering wheel for volume and for tuning, but I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned. When you're driving down the road, nothing beats the quick spin of a knob to either tune your stations or handle your volume. Trying to sort of hunt and peck around here and deal with that while you're on the road can sometimes be distracting, I think. Sound system, very good. Navigation, easy to program. This is a 5-star system, if not for the ease of use issues that I have here. Therefore, it gets 4 out of 5 stars. Under the hood here, we've got General Motors 3.6 liter V6. Now, it's an engine that's been around for a while, but it's got a lot of upgrades for this year. They give it a little bit more power, but a lot more fuel economy. Here, we've got 310 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque going through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this one has all-wheel drive. Now, the big news here is the fact that this has variable displacement technology. It can run on 4 cylinders, so when you're coasting or you don't need that extra power, it'll automatically cycle itself to a V4. When you ask for power again, automatically goes back up to a V6. This enables it to have fuel economy ratings with the all-wheel drive at 21 mpg combined and as high as 26 mpg on the highway. Well, how does it go? It's got a nice growl to it. And the paddle shifters work pretty well for a non-sports car. They're actually pretty responsive. I had it in manual mode. It's got a sport mode, which dials up the transmission, the steering, the suspension. So this engine actually puts down a pretty good amount of power. It's still a pretty heavy vehicle, even though it is lighter than before. But this powertrain works pretty well. It's got a nice growl to it, as I said, a nice sound. It does seem a little bit grainier than, say, a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW 6. They cost a little bit more, but we're in the luxury class, so I have to make that comparison. Now, fuel economy, that's the one area where, you know, this engine is more improved over the previous generation of the 3.6, rated up to 26, as I said, 21 mpg combined. Now, this week with it, before I started shooting today, I achieved 20 mpg combined, which is pretty darn close to what's promised. So I'm always happy when you can get either what's promised, better than promised, or at least pretty close. But this is a powertrain that I think does fit in quite well with a lot of what's offered from the competition, at least in the front-wheel drive-based competition. When you get into BMW, when you get into Mercedes-Benz, even though they do compete, they're a little bit, well, different strata. So overall, I put powertrain at 4 out of 5 stars. When it comes to ride and handling, over the SRX, what they've done here is they've lengthened the vehicle by a few inches, the wheelbase in particular, but it's also a lot lighter than before because it's got a stiffer overall structure that also has a lot of advanced materials, a lot of high-strength steels, and a lot of new design techniques that General Motors has been implementing that reduce the weight while keeping the body strong. And so when that comes to handling, they've really been able to sort of play it up a little bit with the suspension, and the suspension actually has an adjustable mode here. Because we're on the mid to upper level trim grades, this has the adaptive suspension, which means it not only changes when you set the mode from touring to sport, but it's also able to sort of automatically react to a lot of your inputs out there. But we're just kind of cruising through my neighborhood right now, and the first thing I'm really noticing is, like you'd expect in this class, it's very quiet in here. A lot of quiet tuning going on with the overall structure and sound deadening, the bushings, the way the suspension has been bolted to the chassis. You don't get a lot of harshness in here, even with those 20-inch wheels, and that's a good thing. But now that we're out here at speed a little bit more, the wind noise is also pretty low, and I've got this on sport mode, so I usually like to have sport mode because when I get into curves and when I like to, well, turn, I like the feeling you get a little bit more than on the touring or softer modes, because I typically like a sharper feel, and I'm definitely getting that here. But this is a crossover vehicle. This is still an SUV, so it has one more place that needs to impress me. Out here on the Desert Washboard Road is a great place to see how well bolted together this thing is, how well sorted the chassis is, how well tuned it is, not only for the pavement, but how it can absorb the rough stuff, the vibration that you get out here in the wild. And what I'm finding out is it does pretty well. Even with these big 20-inch wheels, this provides a reasonably refined ride out here. I'm not getting any vibration in the steering or the suspension, and I get that, and even some of the more heavy-duty off-road SUVs, so I'm pretty impressed. The chassis gets 5 of 5 stars. When it comes to measuring quality, it's very important to me. I'm a stickler for this stuff. I grab pieces, I grip them, I see if they feel cheap or not, and the materials here, inside and out, are very well done. The trims have a nice finish on them, paint finish is good, and the body fit and alignment also very good. The only one area I could really complain about was that when you slam the doors, they don't quite have that solid heavy thunk that I think belongs in a vehicle of this price range. But overall, quality comes in at 4 of 5 stars. All right, my friends, wrapping it up for the Cadillac XT5, I have to say I'm very impressed, because I'll have to admit, I've been sort of a Cadillac fan most of my life. I like the styling, I like what the brand stands for, but with this new package they've got here, the new platform, vastly improved over the Cadillac SRX. It was a good vehicle too, but this is much sharper, lighter, fuel efficient, handles better, all of those good things. Now pricing, $56,000 and some change here. We're about mid-grade. You can get this under 40, and you can get well into the mid-60s if you really spend the money and add the options. But value here, very similar to its competitors, the RX 350, the MDX, the Lincoln MKX. I put value at 4 stars because, well, when you get into this price category, you can really look at BMW and Mercedes, which are considered to be the real deal. Now, whether they're actually better than this, well, that's for you to decide, but I do put value at 4 or 5 stars. When you put that in with everything else we've already talked about, we're at 4.5 stars for the review. Very good. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Well, I hope you enjoyed that test drive. A little personal story. As I've mentioned, I do have a soft spot for the Cadillac brand. It doesn't mean I've owned one, but you know, when I was growing up, I always looked at them, well, just in a good light. I always liked their styling, and of course the 50s and the 60s were a really good era for Cadillac, but even the 70s and 80s, which was a bad era for American cars, well, most cars, Cadillac even still managed to have some pretty good looking metal during those years. The Eldorado, well, a lot of people look at that car and they say that's everything that was wrong with the 1970s, but I look at that car and think, that's pretty nice. Wouldn't mind having one if it was a 3rd or 4th car and I just didn't need to worry about the gas mileage. Anyway, if you like the test drive you just saw, click on the link right here. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because I do test drive 1 or 2 vehicles a week. Plus, we have a new video almost every other day. There's always something new. So stay tuned.